Earl, it is as ugly as we could have ever imagined, and then it's even worse. And then double that, times it to the 50th power, send it to the moon and back, times it by the distance between Cleveland, Ohio, and the moon, throw it in the trash can, incinerate it. That's how bad the Cleveland Browns played today. That's how bad this season has gone so far. Nobody's without fault. The quarterback, the coach, the offensive line, the defense, the general manager. Hell, I'll put some blame on Jimmy Haslam just as well. It is a complete, utter catastrophe through the first 5 weeks of the season. Today was equally, if not worse, than anything we've seen up to this point. And I am truly at a loss for words for the first month of the Browns season, Earl. G, what's up? Earl, your thoughts first, though, because this is so bad.
Mike, what's up, my good fellas, man? Happy Sunday to y'all. Hey, G, Mike, I'm going to keep it all the way to buck with y'all right now, man. Something got to give. Something got to give, like starting tonight, tomorrow, whatever the case may be. Either Deshaun Watson gets benched or Kevin Stefanski gives up the play calling. This is a failed marriage that no longer works, and both cannot be the same next Sunday versus the Philadelphia Eagles. It absolutely cannot. I'm going to say it again. Either Kevin Stefanski needs to give up the play calling or Deshaun Watson needs to get benched. But
Earl, can I ask you a question on that, Earl?
What's up?
Let me ask you, because it's play calling is one thing. Would you take play calling away, or would you fire Kevin Stefanski? Does it have to be one or the other here, or could those two just not coexist?
I'm trying not to go there.
Okay.
I'm really trying not to call for the man's job. I'm trying so hard not to get to that stage yet. That's why I'm saying, man, you either give up the play calling or Deshaun Watson needs to go to the bench, because this is a marriage that don't work. This is a relationship that's failed. They have no type of chemistry. They're not on the same page whatsoever. So, and clearly, like, whatever it is Stefanski wants to do, Deshaun Watson can't do. Whatever that seems to be a strength for Deshaun Watson, clearly the Browns can't call it. It can't be executed, whatever the case may be. This entire football team is bad from the top to the bottom. Everybody deserves a slice of the blame. If the fans want to pick and choose who deserve most, I think everybody is right when they pick whatever it is that they pick. But from Andrew Berry all the way down to whoever the player is, the whole roster spot number 53, this is bad. The fans deserve better. I think everybody has seen enough. They got every right to be pissed off, tired, and everything else. And if those people want to call for Kevin Stefanski's job and say he should be fired, I'm not going to disagree with you, because you know what? This is a fireable offense right here. Jimmy Haslam handed out contract extensions. Love to know the details of those, by the way. How long was those contract extensions for Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski? We know clearly Jimmy don't give a damn about footing the bill. And if Jimmy Haslam was to fire everybody come Monday, I don't think no Cleveland Browns fans will say, you know what, you shouldn't have done that. Because from top to bottom, this is horrible. This is god-awful.
G, before you chime in, because I want you to have a full runway, I just want to comment on what Earl said real quick. We've seen Kevin Stefanski's offense work in different iterations. It hasn't been prolific. It's not top 5 in the league, but it certainly looks better than it has today. And Earl, I was having the same thought about you, not necessarily stripping the play calling. My first thought was, let's put Winston in and see if it looks better with Winston. And if it does, then we know it's a quarterback problem. And if it still looks bad, well, then we have a coaching problem. But you have to change something to figure out the root of what's actually wrong with this offense. You can put blame and point the finger at everyone.
Look, I know G about to cook, but Mike, here's another thing I talked about this morning on the radio, right? We could talk about this being a new offense, and we could say the issue is Deshaun Watson. This Cleveland Browns team is yet to reach 300 yards. They average less than 4 yards per play and still hasn't scored 20 points. At least last year when you was running a version of Stefanski's offense before Deshaun Watson got hurt, at least even he can put up 20 points with this offense.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell is going on. Why it look as bad as it do, but this is horrible from top to bottom.
And that's my point. We've seen it work in different iterations with different quarterbacks. Flacco's thrown for 360 today.
Yeah,
and they have 27 points. G, runway's yours. Take it wherever you want. We can kill everybody top to bottom. You have free reign to start with whoever you want to roast.
I don't want to really roast anybody. I just want to, I want to say that, this is a sad day for the fans, because, and I'm going to get to a lot of people, but as of today, I'm a firm believer that this doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work at quarterback, does not work at head coach, does not work at general manager. And you may say, well, G. Bush, what's going on here? Well, let me just give you something. This isn't the first time this organization has dealt with quarterbacks. Kevin Stefanski dealt with Baker Mayfield. And I distinctly remember the year that Baker left, it ended like this as well. We couldn't throw the ball, we couldn't run the ball, we couldn't do nothing, and it seemed like the team quit. They pivoted, they moved on, they did what they did to get Deshaun Watson. And guess what? Van Pelt went, all these other pieces and parts went, it never worked. And guess what? I listen, I don't got nothing for no Deshaun Watson talk. Jameis should be playing next week. Mm-hmm. I ain't seen it. I ain't got no time for it. The ball security was lazy. The ball security, you looked like he was out of it. The timeouts at the end of the half where he don't know what the clock is. I'm sorry, man. It ain't looking like it's working. It's done. I'm done with the experiment. Let me just repeat that. Done with the whole Deshaun Watson experiment. Today was nasty work. We went 1-31 to accumulate these players. We went 1-31 to accumulate these players to extend this window. And today, that window officially closed. We could put window shopping on it. We could put a lot of dressing and different things on it, but you don't got a quarterback right now. It looks like your head coach done lost the team, don't know what he's doing. He doesn't look like he's man enough to hold nobody accountable. And it looked like the team quit on you. They quit on the city. They quit on you as individual fans. And they went to Washington. And we had to sit there and watch a rookie quarterback drink Kool-Aid, put a towel around his neck, and yuck it up with front office executives like the Cleveland Browns was an old carcass laying for dead. They don't respect you. They don't respect your organization. And we're sitting up here talking about two-time coach of the year. Let's be clear. That was one of them was a COVID year. One of them, he didn't even win no playoff game. Kevin Stefanski looked out-coached again. Who has he out-coached? He was out-coached again.
That's it. We told him what the now that's 2 weeks. Now you tell me how many weeks in a row you playing on you got beat. These are the teams you got beat by in the quarterbacks. The Giants and Daniel Jones, the Raiders and Gardner Minshew. And then you walk in here and play a rookie and he twinkle toes up and down the sidelines and laughs at you. The announcers had to find something to say because this game was over in the second quarter. G, I want to address a few things you said, and I want to make the comparison that needs to be made. But let's start with where we were before kickoff today. This secondary for Washington was the worst in football. We did a segment on Thursday. Real defensive back on the Commanders or made-up name? And guess what? We didn't go undefeated. They were the worst third down team in football entering this game from a defensive standpoint. They allowed their opponents to convert 46% of the time. Do you know what the Browns were on third down today, G?
Oh, of what?
They were 1 for 13, and they converted their last one. Their very last. They were 0 for 12 to start. They are converting a league worst 18% of third down attempts this season. The offense is broken, but it's not just cracked like a little pebble hit your windshield on the highway, and you get that fixed in a easy car shop. The entire car is totaled. And I got an accident earlier this year, G. I had to get a new car. That's a painful process to go through that entire insurance loop, to go through the entire car shopping experience, deal with all the brokers.
The range is still out of commission.
You have your range.
I got a whole talking about.
Yeah, Paula gone for good.
Yeah, all three of us have gotten new cars this year. It is a pain in the you-know-what to go through that entire process. But you can't get to where you want with a new car unless you go through that entire process. And the Browns have to strip this down to the metals, scrap the parts, and start over because they tried.
They tried. They
get credit for trying. The move to acquire Deshaun Watson in the moment was the right move. In hindsight, it was a terrible trade that has not paid off. But you saw a potential upgrade to acquire a player who was a quarterback in his prime that had elite talent. And for one reason or another, we could all point our fingers to different reasons why we think he's lost it, but he's lost it. And I'll just go back to this. And Earl, I'm curious what you think on this. Jayden Daniels made more plays in this game than we've seen Deshaun make in 17 games as a Brown today.
Facts.
We saw Jayden Daniels make more big time.
Talk, Mike.
Right?
Talk.
It's a reality. Jayden Daniels in his fifth career game played like the Deshaun the Browns thought they were getting.
coming into this game, Daniels had as many rushing touchdowns as Deshaun Watson had passing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like, I'm over it. Like, my man looked like he out there seeing ghosts, as my homeboy put it. You got happy feet out here, like you leaving the pocket too early. We down here on the goal line. You dropping back. You will not get rid of the damn football. You walking over to Kevin Stefanski with 20 seconds still left on the play clock. On the play clock. Stefanski taking a delayed game, looking at you like you crazy. You looking at him like he crazy. Like, I'm just over the experiment. Shout out to Andrew Berry for trying. You tried. It didn't work. For everybody that wanted to say, hey, I was wrong, Earl the Pearl was wrong. Failed experiment. As much as I wanted Deshaun Watson, this thing did not work out. A failed marriage between him and Kevin Stefanski. I seen one of the super chats that said it felt like Ken Dorsey was a forced hire. This is not the first time that I've heard this. I think a lot of people have speculated over and over. Like, was Kevin Stefanski forced to really make these changes? You know what I mean? Like,
but I will say, Earl, I will say this.
Go ahead.
I'll say this. We're gonna have to. I need to find out. Mike said something that was very. We're gonna have to find out, because here's the thing. I don't want. There's two things that are going to need to happen. I need Jameis Winston to play, and I need Dorsey to actually be able to call what he's calling. Because
we'll go back to what I say. We'll go back to what I said at the beginning. I was wrong. I started off just saying something got to give. Either Watson needs to be benched or Stefanski needs to give up the play calling. Basically, both need to happen. Both need to happen. We need to see a different quarterback and a different play caller come Sunday, because what we're seeing right now ain't in it.
Here's my thing, and Mike, and I'm listen. And by the way, I keep it real, 100%. What I'm feeling. I told you. I text you. What did I tell you? I told you. I said it's time to pivot.
Yeah.
We ain't got no time to be. I am not watching this no more. I'm not. I'm going to go in and do my little barbershop blog, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to give them a eulogy for this season. First of all, playoffs are done. They're 1-4. They're out of here. At this point, they need to have an organizational conversation. What do we want to do? Do we want to lose these games to get a quarterback? Or who are we targeting? Because I'm sitting here telling you something right now. This is done. We grossly overestimated their talent level. Let's go ahead and get the obituary ready for the people that are done. This whole offensive line, they're starting over.
None of them.
It's a total.
None of them.
None of them.
None.
Give Joe,
nada. Jed Wills came back and they got worse. Actually, they were better today, but they're still bad.
Wasted money picking up that 5th-year option. Wasted money right there.
Jed Wills is going to go down as one of the worst top 10 picks of all time. Number 2, you're looking at a whole other receiving core. Now, you might have Jerry Jeudy on the roster because you just signed him, but everybody else, the Cedric Tillmans, the Elijah Moores, the Amari Coopers, listen, and by the way, the guys that you still have, can you get some from David Njoku? Can you get some for Denzel Ward? Myles Garrett, can we get 2 first-round picks for him? Because I'm sitting here telling you this right now. If you think they're going to go into Philadelphia after they did this and win a football game, they are going to be 1-5. And at that point, I need to see whether it's Deshaun Watson that needed to sit down, or is it Kevin Stefanski that don't need to be nowhere near a playbook, or choosing who the next quarterback is. Do you trust these 2 guys to pick the next quarterback?
It's a fair question, G. It's a very fair question. And the offensive line had parts of the game where it played better, but they still get up 7 sacks and over 20 pressures. They don't get a pass. The defense today, Swiss cheese. Another jet sweep on 4th down for a first down. They gave up, I don't know how many yards Daniels ended up with on the ground. He finished with 82 yards on the ground. JOK showed up. Now, JOK had a sack, a forced fumble, and interception. He also had 2 free rushes at Daniels and missed that gave up 40. He was their best defensive player. He was far from perfect. And Earl, you could address the MJ stuff, and we like MJ. Listen, MJ at the softball game could not have been nice to us.
Listen,
we like MJ.
Cool person.
He got burnt today.
Watch this, though. Watch this. Before I even address that, right? In the chat, drop a 1 if you think Corey Bojorquez has been the best player on the Cleveland Browns through 5 games. It's either him or Jock. And I ain't even being funny. It's either been Corey Bojorquez or Jock has been the best players on the Cleveland Browns through 5 games. Listen, I gotta call it like I see it, man. Like MJ Emerson, I think we might have seen him at his ceiling last year. And I think that we are starting to see the holes in this game be exposed. We're starting to see him be picked apart, and whoever the DB coach is, they're not watching film with him, and he's not, making the right corrections to not continue to be exposed. But he is having a horrible season. And like I said, as of right now, it looks like that what we saw in 2023 was the ceiling of MJ Emerson. And a lot of the reasons why he dropped into the third round are being put on full display right here, right now. I joke a lot about MJ being him. MJ is not him. When Denzel Ward got hurt and you was the number one DB out there, you got cooked by a touchdown by a cat I never even heard of. All I know is he the number 2 wide receiver. I think he's been in the league 3 or 4 years. His last name was Brown. Never heard of the cat before today's game.
Out of UNC, third-round pick. Not a
bad job out of me if I don't know who he is. But all I'm saying is if stuff like that is happening, and then the audacity for that to happen right before you go to the half, like, come on, man. That's laziness. That's pure laziness. Like, this team is
Let's just be clear. They done whiffed and look at this way. At least you had Martin Emerson and he overachieved for a 3rd or 4th round pick.
Yeah.
Greg Newsome, your number 1 overall pick from Northwestern. I didn't know Northwestern had shut down corners like that. I didn't. I had to ask Dustin. Let's just be clear. Greg Newsome is a 1st round pick that they had to move inside a corner that is not tackling anybody. And as soon as Denzel Ward go off the field, it's like somebody that used to go to school with their big brother, but their big brother go to high school. You still in middle school. They catch you behind the school like, yeah, where your brother at? Where your brother? You was talking all that trash when your brother Denzel was here. They catch you slipping every single time. Ask yourself, and I want people to understand this. What we are seeing is something that we got to internalize, and we should never forget this. When they go to draft players, if they didn't make no plays in college, don't you tell me about them playing. We are slow on every level. Yep. How is it no-name gangsters, guys we don't even know for the Raiders, no-name gangsters for the Commanders, they're running past us, making plays, making sacks, making tackles. But every single time Mikey McNuggets tosses it out there, that do we want to go after so-and-so person? We got people talking about 67% of the chat said no. Listen, I don't care nothing about no Boy Scouts. Get me somebody that run a 4.2 or 4.1. Listen, I'm sorry. We have no playmakers. Zero. I mean, who out there looks fast to you? Who makes plays?
They look slow. Austin Eckler outran him today, G. Austin
Multiple
Eckler
times.
was the slowest running back
got
in football last year.
He got shook. I mean, he got hit with the AI crossover in his rookie year on Jordan. Did you see how he's hitting with the get up off me? He got the nerve to be wearing 23. What is happening here? Yo, listen, Mike, I got a question for you. Maybe you can set this up, bro. But like to G's point, right? When are we going to start having an honest conversation about Andrew Berry? Andrew Berry got to hold that L when it comes to Deshaun Watson. And if you look overall at his drafts, we can point to maybe 2 or 3 players overall that has turned out to be ballers. You know, if you look at the wide receiver class for the last 3 years, whether it's been round 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, it has been absolute studs in the last 3 classes, and the Browns didn't hit on none of them. I said this last week, and I'm going to say it again. He inherited an already made John Dorsey football team. And if we keeping it all the way a buck, most of Cleveland know this. The reason John Dorsey got fired is because he was too arrogant to hire a competent coach. He didn't want to get undermined by the head coach, so he hired Freddie Kitchens. That's what cost him his job. It was not his ability to evaluate talent. Ever since he's taken over, we try to laserize and point the little things that he do and make his overall job look like it's been grand. And in the grand scheme of things, Andrew Berry has done an average job. I can give him all the credit in the world for trying to address the needs at hand, but you failed, and you failed massively. And whoever's pulling the strings at the top that's not allowing a head coach to be a head coach, G, you right. Mike, you right. We need to start figuring this stuff out. We need to find out, man, who calling what shots for real, because this is toxic all through the board. And I hate to say what I'm about to say, and maybe this is emotional in the moment, but honestly, God, internally, I feel like what G just said, man, what you just said, tear this thing all the way down to the studs. And if it takes this 1 or 2 or 3 seasons to start over and rebuild this football team, then so be it. This team is old. This team is not as good as we thought it was. And honestly, we're not going to be competitive until we tear it all the way down and start all the way over and try to build it all the way up. And if we end up with a top 3 pick, the current regime should not be responsible for drafting the next quarterback of this team.
Andrew Berry's been the GM since 2020. If you look at every draft pick he's made since he took over, he has 1 home run, and that was JOK in the second round. He's had a couple okay hits. Delpit in the second round is a perfectly good find. For a third-round cornerback, MJ Emerson, for where he was drafted, has been fine. DeJuan still up in the air. Cam Mitchell looks like he can play, but who knows? But he has 1 home run in 4 years, and I know it's tougher when he doesn't have first-round picks because of the Deshaun Watson trade, but we have to grade him for what we have, and he has certainly missed on more draft picks than he has hit. And, I want to say one more thing about the quarterback situation, and you can address whatever you want after. I hear what Earl you're saying about switching both up next week. I think we got to do it incrementally. I think we need to make one switch first, and then the next one. So for me, if I was running the show, A, I think this team needs some sort of spark. They look lifeless out there. And B, I've seen Stefanski's offense work before. I would make the quarterback switch first. See if Winston can run the offense Stefanski wants. Let's see if Stefanski reverts back to a lot of things he was running with Flacco last year and with Baker and with Jacoby Brissett and of quarterbacks in previous iterations of this offense. And if it works with Jameis, then we know the influence of the Ken Dorsey spread stuff. That's because Deshaun wanted it. That's not what Kevin wanted, and that doesn't work. And if Winston still looks like trash next week, all right, well, let's switch the reins. Let Dorsey take over. Let him take total command of this offense. And then if that doesn't work, then we know, okay, you got nothing. You have nothing to build upon. It is simply a foundation of ash. And you know what happens to foundations of ash? It blows away in the wind at the first little gust. But I think you have to make it one change at a time to determine where the real rotten, unfixable issue lies.
I can get with that, but you know what's so frustrating about that, Mike? See, before you got here, or maybe it was around the same time that you arrived.
Hey, sorry, real quick. Mary Kay just tweeted out Stefanski said we are not changing quarterbacks. So everything I just said, irrelevant. Deshaun will be your starter next week.
Well, listen, man, don't let that get you fired.
Yeah.
Listen, his job ain't to be Deshaun Watson's biggest protector. His job is to get the team to play you are. So if the quarterback ain't doing what he's supposed to be doing, he's not giving him a spark, it's not looking good, then guess what? That's on you. Coaches need to make tough decisions. And right now, you're not making no tough decisions on nothing. You're just letting it go. And you're sitting up there every single post game talking about we got to look at the tape. And here's furthermore. Here, let's talk about this. Let's get this scenario out the way. For all y'all that's out there running around pounding the concrete talking about Baker is better, Baker didn't win you crap neither. Baker Mayfield was looking just the exact same way at the end of his tenure, and we told him to sit down, and he said, no, I'm going to continue to play, and he ran us all the way out the season. Then he told you, I'm going to have surgery. Then he said, you know what, I'm not playing for you guys because I listen, don't act like you can do victory laps. I don't care about Baker. I don't care about Watson. I don't care about Flacco. I'm interested in somebody coming in here, getting the job done. When I told you Deshaun Watson played well last week, I tell you what I see. Sean King says, I saw him play well. And guess what? Bertie Kosar says, I seen him play well. But guess what? It's week to week. What do you want? You think I'm about to die on the line for what I see on the field? It ain't that? And you mad because Baker ain't here? Because guess what? Your coach that you won't say nothing to made that decision. Who made? Did we make the decision on Baker Mayfield McNuggets, or did Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski?
If we could,
but wait, Mike. This is my whole point to what you were saying, right? If you do one or the other, you do them simultaneously, and you trying to find out what's what. Kevin Stefanski watches Deshaun Watson every single day at practice. You mean to tell me behind the scenes you ain't have a blues clue that he couldn't run your offense and you wasn't man enough to make the switch? This smells a lot like when Baker got hurt, and because Kevin or whoever was trying to prove a damn point that the Cleveland Browns fans suffered from them trying to prove a point. Baker was horrible. The Cleveland Browns moved on, and we're in this situation. See, a lot of this, if we peel the layers back, it started with Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. You all keep making business decisions that's impacting the Cleveland Browns fans. because you want to see what you got. You kept throwing Baker out there because you wanted to see what you had. And what happened? You did nothing but frustrate the Cleveland Browns fans with a lot of losing. Deshaun Watson is clearly not playing well. The marriage of Stefanski and Deshaun Watson is failing. But you just told the media that next week he's still going to be the starting quarterback. Why? Because y'all paying that money and you want to see what you got. Get the hell out of here with all of that. Y'all out here making decisions that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. Are you trying to win or what? Because this fan base is frustrated. This fan base is pissed off. And for you to go out there and just really say that, like you won't even consider a change, like it ain't another 52 players in that locker room. Like people ain't out here really trying their hardest to make the damn playoffs and be better than what they are. And this is what you going to sell us? Basically expect the same thing next week? Man, get out of here, bro. I got NASCAR I'd rather be watching on everything. Everything, bro. This is
and for everybody, you can't have it both ways. You either gonna say they're making this decisions for your football team, but you sitting up here talking about G. Bush. What'd you say about Baker? Take that up with the head coach who got rid of him. You can't have it both ways. And if I sit up here and say, listen, Deshaun Watson ain't doing what he's supposed to do, give me Jameis Winston. You still talking about, well, what? No, you can't have it both ways. Either you're going to admit that the organization made a mistake in your eyes, or you're going to say they still continue to make mistakes and they won't rectify them. It's either or. So you can say G. Bush is delusional all you want. I didn't tell Baker goodbye. I didn't tell him he wasn't getting $35 million. And I also wasn't the team that cut him for the Panthers and they cut him for the Rams and is still on his fourth team. So at the end of the day, what are you going to do? Are you going to man up and call out the people that is in control? Or are you going to still sit here and act like it's the media's fault we ran somebody out of town? But yet and still, when we try to make a change to save the season this year, you don't like it.
G, you want to hear a stat? You know I like stats, right? How about this for you? Is 5 games enough of a sample size to get a good read of a team?
Sure.
Okay. This is from StatHead. Through 5 games of the season, the Browns are averaging 3.8 yards per play. That is the worst the NFL has seen through 5 games in a season since 2018. It has never been easier to get yards in the NFL, G.
Ever.
Via the air, on the ground. I understand passing numbers are down, but on a per-play basis, they're up. Teams are just running fewer plays. The Browns on first down, midway through the game, had run 8 plays for 15 yards. You want to know why they're the worst third down team in football? Because they're in 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10 every time. It is, and I'll say it again, I said it earlier, a complete catastrophic failure from an offensive standpoint, top to bottom. From a schematic standpoint, from an execution standpoint, from a preparation standpoint, from a game planning standpoint, and from a actual product on the field standpoint. And maybe most importantly, it's not fun. There is not an ounce of fun on this team, G and Earl. There's not one, outside of Corey Bjork as punting. Do you get excited for anything? Seriously. Like, is there not only are we watching a bad football team, because what we've seen on the field is a terrible product. It's not enjoyable. Like, even if the Commanders were 1-4 and not 4-1, hey, you got Jayden Daniels. You got something to look forward to. You got something to build upon. There's nothing out there that inspires hope in any kind of way.
Hashtag let Corey punt. Corey Bjork is the best player on the Cleveland Browns right now. Hashtag let Corey punt.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, I want to say this too. I want to say this too, Mikey McNuggets. Again, why I'm so difficult and why I'm so tough on Stefanski is because he lacks the forethought and understanding where his weak spots and blind spots are. We talked about it on a radio show, and we talked about how you let a 43-year-old veteran, and rightfully so, he gets to choose where he wants to go in Bill Callahan. But it's not about letting Bill Callahan go. It's what you chose to do to replace Bill Callahan. He replaces Bill Callahan with a first-time NFL coach who coached in college at the University of UConn. Now, if you don't know anything about the University of UConn, it's not a Power 5 school. And they actually were only 33rd in the country in rushing. You say, what does that have to do with it, G. Bush? You coming into a season where it's a make or break year for Deshaun Watson. You know Bill Callahan was one of your most valuable assistants and was responsible for your pass protection, responsible for your running game, the scheme, how you make adjustments, and even down to what running plays you call. You didn't replace him with an NFL veteran. You didn't replace him with somebody that's been in the league 10 years. You replaced him with a coach who never coached in the NFL ever. And what do you end up with? You ended up with a team. How many yards a carry are we averaging besides? We can't even move people. We don't have the schemes. Guys up front cannot pick up any sort of stunts. They're up there going to battle with no blueprint.
Nope.
That's how bad they are. And you knew, you understood that you had a blind spot there, and your hiring practices said what? It's still when your team and the ship is drowning all around you. And guys are saying, get under center, Kevin. Kevin, get under center. You can't drop back and throw the football. You don't have any play action game. And you still drop back and you get sack after sack after sack after sack. It is high school comical. He is not, hold on, let's just get this out of the way. Let me fix my mic. Kevin Stefanski is nothing special as a coordinator. He is outdated. His route concepts are rudimentary, and he consistently is the most penalized team, and you don't even have concepts to pick up regular plays. When Kevin was rocking and rolling, oh, I forgot. He never won a playoff game. What are you talking about? When was he good? You tell me, because Flacco threw a couple 300-yard games when he had to play the Texans. What happened? This playbook, they're laughing at him on the camera.
Yo, did you hear Greg Olsen? He was all but saying, like, man, Kevin Stefanski ran the most basic offense I've ever seen in my life. He all but said that. Like, there's nothing special about what the Cleveland Browns do. There's nothing exotic. There's nothing high-powered. There's nothing special. There's nothing explosive.
There's no motion.
Anything. There's nothing about this offense, man, that's a staple. The Browns don't have an identity. There's nothing that we can hang our hat on. We just a bunch of dudes out there, man, playing pitch and catch, hoping something works.
All right, we're going to say goodbye to our Bleacher Report audience before we get to Super Chats. We have the most Super Chats we've ever had on a post-game show. Gee, that is more than when the Browns upset the Niners last year, when they beat the Ravens. So we're going to say goodbye to our Bleacher Report audience. If you want to hear the Super Chats, you can come find us on YouTube. But we appreciate Bleacher Report as always, and we'll see you guys on Monday for the next Browns Topical. All right, let's get to some Super Chats here, guys. Over 40 of them, so I'm going to run through some quickly. And if you want to chime in, let me know. We can chime in on any of these. But Cleveland Bearcat said, fire Deep Podesta. He ruined what Dorsey built. Still don't really know what Deep Podesta does, but we do know he was on the sideline today. So he got an up-close and personal look at the catastrophe that was. Silver says, how hot is Stefanski's seat? Real quick, 1 to 10.
White hot. It's white hot.
White hot. G,
I told you. I told you I would tear it down. Quarterback, GM, coach.
I think everyone is coaching for their job right now. Coaching and playing for their job right now. SG says the 4 experiment is over. I thought it was the line, but Watson is bad, man. Hey, we gave him kudos when he played well last week. He did not play well today.
Equally trash. He was terrible.
Did not play well today. He had a
Listen
lot of
to the words coming out of my mouth. Deshaun Watson was not good. He was trash. He was throwing the ball all over the place. Guess what? He had no pocket presence. What else do you want me to say, people? Not going to get it done. Bye.
He had time in the pocket on certain throws and missed. His deep ball was not there. He had 1 or 2 good throws. He had a good pass to Judy that Judy dropped in the end zone. But overall, that is not good enough quarterback play to win at the National Football League level. Scotty Courtney says, we suffered through losing our team. Years of personnel turnover and dysfunction, blowing it up several times. Years of losing, including 1-31. For this, blow it up again. I'm done. P. Rothstein's 216 says, fire the coach, make Schwartz the head coach, let Dorsey run his offense, give Deshaun 1 game, maybe 2, and if they're still just bad, go with Jameis, look forward to next year. Jim Schwartz had a chance to be a head coach, and he was not a good head coach, and his defense has been atrocious this year for what we expected. I don't want to – if anyone's going to be the head coach, if you're going to fire Stefanski mid-year, it's Vrabel, not Schwartz.
Are we not sure they was just living off Myles Garrett's coattail?
Gee, you talked about Stefanski's scheme being outdated. I think you could say the same thing about Jim Schwartz's, if we're being honest.
Hey, they got journeymen and rookies laughing, posted up on the sideline, drinking cool. This is the defense we thought. I told you we could get them on that, coach. We was talking about in films. These catches.
Hey, baby, think about Peyton Ford. DC, man. DC ready for us. DC.
Jeffrey Anderson says it's not Stefanski. Watson sucks. Nobody's safe right now. Nobody's without blame. They all, top to bottom, are a culprit in this 1-4 start.
Maybe we could blame it on the simple fact that, listen, if you talk about it ain't Watson, forget that, bro. Like Kevin Stefanski burned timeouts on penalties. How you burn a timeout after you just got penalized on the goal line?
Bad all around. Nicole D says everyone's job should be on the line right now. That includes AB, Kevin, and Deshaun. Mav, the bosun, says, anyone else notice Cooper not actually running his routes? It looked like he was just jogging.
He got to go too. Listen, I'm sorry. Listen, I've been putting the cape on you for 4 or 5 weeks, Amari Cooper. You came out on the last play of the game, the most important play of the game. You ran the wrong route. You said it yourself. How? You're jogging around. You're moving your head all types of different ways. Give me Thrash, because he's not doing nothing. Like what? Like he is completely. By the way, this team quit on you guys. All of them did. They quit on you.
All right. Next one comes from Connor Houston, who says, we want Vrabel, bench Watson. Cody Holland says more points have been scored in the Ravens versus Bengals game today than the Browns scored all season. The Browns offense is terrible and hard to watch. I'm done. I've asked the fence rider question this week. The Browns score 20. We're going to change the question. They're going to score 14. I think that's the new 20. Like, we keep lowering the bar on passing yards for quarterbacks. It was 300. Now it's 250. It was 400 yards in a game. Now it's 300 for a team. For the Browns, can you score 2 touchdowns? Have they done that? They haven't done that all season, have they?
Yeah.
Oh, the Giants, they did. Sorry, they did score 2 touchdowns against the Giants. It shouldn't be that hard. Football is not that difficult when you have
Stop.
Hey, real quick, I should have mentioned one thing. This is the most expensive offense in football, guys. The single most expensive unit in football. Not just offense. The Browns offense costs more money than any defensive unit. And on 4th and 1 on the first drive of the game, or 3rd and 1, they handed the ball off to Pierre Strong. And on 4th and 1, they put Winston in and did a little pitch to Deonta Foreman. And the most expensive offense in football, we're going to Pierre Strong and Deonta Foreman in crucial conversion situations. Like, all around, just pathetic today. It was pathetic. We talked about Cody Holland. Next up is Derek Spina. Ken Dorsey's offense is trash, and I believe this was a forced hire. Watson and Cooper emotionally broken. The plan has failed. Time to move on. Shaking my head. To this comment, and Earl, I want you to address this. He says it's Ken Dorsey's offense. Do we really have any idea whose offense this is?
No, we don't know who offense this is. We don't know who pulling the strings, man. This might be like Paul DePodesta's offense for all we know. Like, we don't know nothing.
Listen, here's what I'm gonna not. Here's what I'm not gonna do. I'm not gonna continue. How good did this do, Alex Van Pelt? Whose offense was it last year? I'm tired of you playing these Jedi mind tricks. If you are calling the plays and if you're the head of the offense, then it's on you. Stop trying to deflect. If you hire Dorsey to do a job, let him call the damn plays and move out the way so we can evaluate. But stop playing these reindeer games where we don't, the 3-card money, like we stupid. Kevin Stefanski, you are not going to continue to scapegoat offensive coordinators when you are calling the plays because you're not doing a good job of it. The proof is in the pudding. You would rather your team lose all these games just so you can hold on to the play calling. That is short-sighted, and people talk about his ego ain't there. That's the most egotistical thing I've ever seen in my life. It's crazy to me to watch the whole city burn while you sit here saying, at least I get to call plays. Well, you ain't going to be calling them soon enough, and you won't even make a change at quarterback because if you don't do that, watch. They're going to start calling for you too. Watch. Them 2 coaches of the years is not deflecting no more. Those are dead. That armor is gone, bro. We looking directly at you and the team that gave up on the entire city and got embarrassed today. That's what we're watching.
Charles T says, can people stop talking about Vrabel? He is the same as Stefanski. That's why he's not the Tennessee coach anymore. The unit he works with now on Browns is offensive line, defensive line, and they suck. Ken Dorsey's shotgun offense is horrible also. Derek says, F this new offense and scheme. P. Williams says, Browns, the difference, pain or injury. Max Nicolento says, unwatchable, period. Kenneth Yabo says they need to trade Miles, Ward, Chubb, and Cooper. Rebuild time. I know you'll push back, but they deserve better, and we need draft picks. Gee, if a team called and made an offer for any of those four, would you at least listen?
If it's past week 8 and they wanted something, the fire sale is coming.
So not yet. Hold off the fire sale for a little longer.
Listen, I'm gonna wait till I'm gonna at least wait to the trade deadline, and I'm gonna see what the picks is gonna be. But I told y'all this before, man. I don't understand why y'all don't understand this. I told you 2 weeks ago, if the Deshaun Watson experiment don't work, we right back to rebuilding. So now either you're gonna have to come to the conclusion that you down with it, or what you gonna do. But this is the consequences of missing twice. Cleveland Browns missed on Baker Mayfield. Cleveland Browns look like they missed on Deshaun Watson. When you miss twice on quarterbacks during a time period when your window was supposed to be open and it closes and you're paying people extending these contracts, people get old. Now you're gonna have to restart over. You don't hate the messenger. It's coming. I didn't throw the ball for you. Like, come on. Yeah. This is what's going to happen. And they're going to question, Haslam's going to say, are these the right people I have in charge to start said rebuild?
Earl, would you listen?
Yeah, I would listen.
We always listening.
Just making sure. Next up, the Roundtable React says the Browns organization doesn't deserve this fan base watching other games. We're not playing the same game, new stadium. Back, child, please. Charles T says, AB, why is Conklin on this team? Is he on this team? Why is the line so bad? Why are receivers slow? Flacco was throwing to wide open burners. Why is the D-line never gotten better? A lot of questions that are valid, and we won't get answers to because Andrew Berry will probably not speak to us till after the season. Wade says, Kevin has made the playoffs twice, both without Deshaun Watson. Scotty Courtney says, AB is the reason for this dumpster fire. Charles T says, Earl on the play, Watson noticed they had 12 in the huddle, and that's why he and Cooper were counting and walked off. That was the play where they didn't burn a timeout. They ended up taking the delay of game and kicking a field goal on fourth and goal from the 8. Thomas Brown says, time for a fire sale. It could be Anne Fran saving off season. I don't know what that means.
I think you want to say a fan saving off season. This is not it. We are the worst team in the league.
A fan saving off season. I see what you're saying. Got you. Nicole D says, Kevin better not just stand there and say we have to do better 10 times in his post-game presser.
Oh, it's coming.
I didn't listen. I can assure you. Well, I saw a couple tweets and he said, blame me. He said, put it all on me. It starts with me. It ends with me. But I didn't get to see the whole presser. Obviously, we've been live, as you guys have seen, for the last 43 minutes and 22 seconds. So
bet.
He said, it starts with me. Put it on me.
Bet.
DB Dog 21 says, I've been on a team where the offensive players didn't believe in the quarterback, and it looked just like this. The defense was decent today, considering the offense gave them nothing. I'm not buying that. Nope.
No.
They don't get a pass.
What are you talking about? Like, why are we? This is why everybody got to go. Because when everybody don't go, the remnants, people start to think that that's okay. Like that was a good performance. I just saw them miss tackle after tackle. They got 34 points on them put by a rookie. He ran around for almost 100 yards on the ground. What are we talking about? How is that great?
Yeah, I'm with you. Totally with you. Okay, next up, Paul A says, please, Kevin, don't say we're looking at the tape and getting better. Andy says, coach needs to give up OC accountability. Armac Dog says, Watson refuses to play like a mobile quarterback because he thinks he's an elusive pocket passer, but actually he's neither. I hate to say it, but for some reason this offense is not working with Deshaun as the Browns QB1. Mr. I crap and shit says, Browns will have the 32nd pick in the first round after trading Garrett to the Chiefs or another contender. If I'm 95, I'm telling Barry to trade me.
Oh, that's coming. I told you that weeks ago. Once again, you can go back and look at. I told you, if it don't work, I'm like, look, if I'm Myles Garrett, I'm going to knock on the door. Hey, listen, trade me right to the Dallas Cowboys. Give me Cowboys. Cowboys is in the win now mode. Dak Prescott making the most money in the world. Jerry Jones ain't getting no younger. You got Myles Garrett and Micah Parsons, and guess what? You can ski mask a first. I want the Deshaun Watson package, but I'm getting it from the Cowboys.
All right, we're up to 60 super chats, so we're gonna fly through these. We'll be here all day. G. Heath Bowell says, "Fire Kevin AB tonight. Hire Vrabel as head coach and GM. Hire Vrabel's buddy Josh McDaniels as the OC. The team has given up on Kevin's BS play calls." Rashard Bailey says the announcers kept repeating "go under center first and often." It was like seeing a tug of war with Kevin and the commenters. Thomas Brown says Denzel Ward is peanut brittle.
Shout out to Denzel Ward, by the way.
It's more about being right than winning. Denzel had a chance at a pick. I just dropped it, but yeah, all around not good. Blaine Slaughter says, "Jim, thank you for your service, but it's time for you to go." Chris K says Stefanski was too weak to bench Baker and now too weak to bench Watson. Coach and Watson got to go. Scotty Courtney says Harvard grads' egos are more important than winning. James Cosby says we as fans need to step away. Kevin Robinson with a great super chat. Go Guardians, up 1-0.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For the land.
For the
land.
Let's go.
Guardians on the show tomorrow. The Browns don't deserve to lead a Monday show, and the Guardians have a chance to go up 2-0 in the ALCS. Thomas Brown says Kelly Holcomb wins the Super Bowl in today's game. Danny M says, thoughts on Chubb playing this season? I say don't play him. Earl, what say you?
I think if Nick Chubb wants to play, you got to let him play. I mean, I can understand that from that perspective, but like if Nick Chubb wants to play football and he's healthy enough to play football, you got to let the man play. Like, he got a contract that got some incentives in there, and he's still trying to get some money, so let him play.
G?
Oh, yeah. If Nick Chubb wants to play, you let him play. Get his feet back wet. He deserves to do whatever he want to do.
If you say you don't want to play Chubb, you just have to accept he'll never play as a Brown again because he will not be back on this team next year. He won't be. Like if they're rebuilding, you're not paying a 29-year-old running back a year off injury. Just not going to happen. So if you're okay with not playing Chubb this season, you can't get mad when he's not a Brown next season. KR Thunder says Cleveland deserves better. James says tell him, Earl. Zoe's father says fire Stefanski, hire Vrabel as head coach. It's simple. Bench Warmer Sports says, I said this on my show, Browns fans need to cause change, hurt Haslam's wallet, boycott the Browns. That will never happen, right? There's no chance.
Nah.
Yeah.
We went 1-31 and they threw a parade. We went 0-16 and season tickets are still renewed. That's
Charles T said with this line, we should save Chubb for next year. He's not under contract next year. That's the issue. So that is where the issue lies. Edward Zupan says, Mary Kay, the offense just needs time.
I disagree. It's done.
There has to be some pretty cosmic changes. Sly says, at least Stefanski isn't icing his own kicker on a game-winning field goal. Chris Lowry says, tank the rest of the season, fire everyone, draft a new quarterback, and rebuild. DC says, I was wrong. Judy is booty. We extended a guy who isn't even proven. Fire Berry and Stefanski. Thomas Brown said, Collinwood versus Glenville. I'm from Mandalay.
Hey, shout out to the Wood. Hey, Glenville used to whoop Collinwood ass every single time they played us, man. But you know what? Shout out to the Wood. Class of 06. Shout out to all my fellow railroaders out there.
Charles T says Cooper quits every 3 seasons on a team. Rob Venture says, I was at the damn game. The whole team was lethargic as hell, lazy, no energy at all. It's an organizational issue. They won't change. The fans have to stop showing up. I paid $100 for the ticket and left at halftime. Whole lot of pressure says, what can a coach do to fix this offense?
Turn the playbook over to somebody else and hope. Listen, listen. I'm a firm believer. I'm ready to see what Jameis Winston is, and I'm ready to see somebody else call the plays.
Zoe's father says, who else would you consider hiring other than Vrabel for the job? At midseason, you're going to promote from within. You're not going to hire anyone midseason. The coaching carousel hasn't begun yet. So if you're going to make a change, either Vrabel, Ventrone, Dorsey, or Schwartz would be your candidates to fill that internally for the Browns. They're not going to go out and hire someone mid-season. Next up is Pab. He says they need to trade Amari. He's been against Deshaun. Dwayne says hire Bernie Kosar as the new head coach. Kyle Bowen says onward to relevant team. Key to beating Scooble on Monday. Got to get him early before the shadows creep in. That's what Jay Crawford told us on Friday, and I'm going to trust Jay on that. Charles T says, G, what's the main reason the O-line is so bad?
Well, let me give you a name. Does anybody know who Nick Charlton is?
Nick Charlton. Why does that sound so familiar?
Does anybody know who Nick Charlton is? Well, that's a damning thing for guys that are in the media and in the
is he the new Browns run game coordinator?
He's the Browns new run game coordinator who has never coached in the NFL before, but I guess he fell upward. So anytime you got that happening, and they're just not good. They're old. Joe Batonio's past his prime. Teller's danger passes his skis. DeJuan Jones looks like he's never going to be a top flight player, and Jed Wills was never good. Ethan Poaches was 1 year wonder. That's why they can't run the football. And on to other news.
We have four more, then we're stopping super chats. If you haven't sent one in yet, don't send it. We're at 65. We're cutting off at 65 here. Evan419 says, fire your coach 2 months after extending him. That's a great way to get qualified candidates. BD Dog 21 says, I never said great. I said decent. And G, you of all people should know what it does to you when you're constantly on the field. They cause 2 turnovers and get nothing. Eventually you get worn down. Is that fair?
Listen, it's fair. It's fair to say that, but guys, we were talking about Super Bowl, man. Like we got embarrassed by a rookie quarterback, Gardner Minshew and Daniel Jones. Like, what do you want me to like? That's not good. They're 1-4. I just saw a quarterback just twinkle toe down the sideline and laugh and joke. There wasn't nothing like guys miss tackles. No, when Denzel Ward goes out of the game, guys get picked on. They did not play a good defensive game. They just didn't.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. Also, this is a defense that we had elite expectations for. Like, it's all about expectations. We thought they were going to be elite. They have been mediocre this season. They've been perfectly league average, but we thought they'd be really good, and that's what's most disappointing. 2 more. BMW 26 says, the issue was, and always will be, there's no culture, overall lack of preparation, and no accountability year after year. And our final super chat, we will send you stinking Lincoln Riley. So that is it for the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show post-game show after a depressing 34-13 loss in Washington. The Browns 1-4 on the season, but thankfully we have the Cleveland Guardians, which will lead tomorrow's Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. For Earl, for G on McNuggets, we'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.